And in breaking news out there, guys, an interesting story gets all the more interesting all around the Blitzchung ban. If you guys do not know, the Hearthstone Pro, alongside two casters, the pro himself was actually given a 1-year ban. The two casters also a part of their political speech, which was on a broadcast by Blizzard themselves during their Grandmaster series. Those two casters were fired. Like I said before, the pro player was given a 1-year ban. We actually had a Riot response about this. I thought a pretty good response because there was a conflict out there. People were thinking during this League of Legends World broadcast, casters had been censored from saying Hong Kong attitude as being a part of this liberation speech, this political speech that Blizzard was not allowing for their broadcast talent to do. So the worry was if, of course, Blizzard talent would not be allowed to say those kind of things, what about League of Legends and Riot talent? Could they say that? Because Tencent has holds on both those companies. We do have an official response as of a few minutes ago at the point of me recording this, guys, from Riot themselves. I thought a very fair response, but still tons of backlash towards just about any developer out there who's actually responding on the case. We had the first Riot response yesterday. They talked about they were not censoring any of their casters. They told them, they didn't really tell them too much in thorough detail of what they could and could not say, but we did see casters saying both HKA and Hong Kong attitude. They were not being told to not say those words. A great response, though, I think, from Riot. A fair response as they're trying to separate politics from games. Here's their response on screen for all of you guys, as you can see, and leave your thoughts down below what you think about this in their statement. As their global head of esports has now stated, as we near this weekend's League of Legends World Championship group stage, I want to take a moment to speak clearly about how we approach sensitive topics on Riot's broadcasts. As a general rule, we want to keep our broadcasts focused on the game, the sport, and the players. We serve fans from many different countries and cultures, and we believe this opportunity comes with the responsibility to keep personal views on sensitive issues, that being political, religious, or otherwise, separate from that game. These topics are often incredibly nuanced, require deep understanding and a willingness to listen, and cannot be fairly represented in the forum our broadcast provides. Therefore, we reminded our casters and pro players to refrain from discussing any of these topics on air. Our decision also reflects that we have Riot employees and fans in regions where this has been or there's a risk of political and or social unrest, including places like Hong Kong. We believe we have a responsibility to do our best to ensure these statements and or actions on our official platforms, intended or not, do not escalate potentially sensitive situations. We'll always strive to deliver a great competitive experience for players and fans. It may be idealistic, but we hope that League of Legends can be a positive force that brings people together no matter where they are in the world, even if it's just one game at a time on Summoner's Rift. And I really do greatly like this response. Also, I've seen so far over the past 20 to 25 minutes, ever since it did go live, is negative feedback around this response, but my first instinct was this is great because it separates the game from that being political. I think it's really key to touch on the fact that he says they don't have the appropriate forum for this kind of discussion, and that's very, very true, especially around these sensitive issues. If you have a caster or a talent or a player talk about these in very short circumstances and only say a few words here and there, they can never give full detail during their time on air about the entirety of the situation, which they do go on to detail. It's a very complex and sensitive issue, and that can endanger their casters, their talents, their players, and their business if they do go on to talk about that. And very lastly, in my opinion, there's just no point of doing so. Now, again, I'm not fully signed on Riot's case here. I think it's a fair response given the fact that Blizzard's response was to ban the player for a year and fire the casters. I think this response from Riot should have, been the Blizzard response we saw initially, but it just wasn't. So for people out there saying Riot was actually paid by Tencent to make this, I just don't see why you're still mad about this. Riot chose to make this response. They chose to say, hey casters, hey talent, hey players, we would rather you not talk about this kind of stuff because it's very sensitive. It can be endangering to many people out there who are viewers of this and of different cultures and regions. I personally think this is a fair response. There are still very many people out there pissed off by this, and so I ask you guys a general question: why? Why are you pissed off by this? Why is this Riot response not fair to you? I think there are certainly two sides to the story. Obviously, you don't want to limit your players and your casters and your talent to what they can and cannot say. But on the other side of things, is this the best platform to voice your concerns on an issue that is very, very complex and you can just say a couple words and not have to explain yourself or your side of things? I just think that, it's great to see that Riot's getting ahead of this, and so they won't have to go to the point where they actually have to ban players or fire casters. They are getting ahead of this and putting this warning out there and letting us all know very transparently, hey, we have warned our people not to talk about this because as of right now, it's a super sensitive issue. Unlike Blizzard, which I think is public enemy number one currently in gaming, where there was no warning, and luckily enough, Riot's now putting this out there ahead of time so they avoid being like a Blizzard, where Blizzard forced their own hand, they banned a player, they fired casters, and now, obviously, we've seen all the turmoil about this, guys. It's pretty crazy to see. I think it's a fair statement, a great statement by Riot. Maybe not the perfect one we wanted to hear, but they are getting ahead of the issues before it becomes a giant issue over all this Hong Kong liberation talk. This does continue, though. I'll be back here Monday, guys, breaking down other Blizzard boycott issues as the situation does continue to unravel itself. And Blizzard, they seem to be doubling down and now keeping quiet about the entire issue. Until next time, guys, I hope you all enjoy. Have a great, safe weekend. Enjoy Worlds this weekend, okay? Enjoy the games because that's what we're watching for. Some great content, some great esports going on for League of Legends Worlds as it does continue this weekend. Brought to us by Riot.